In here, it'll be about 15 or 20 seconds before we're live.
Part way, like 3/4.
Alrighty, we are live. I will pass it off to you.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular board meeting of December 15th, 2020 at 7 p.m. via Zoom. This particular board meeting is being held electronically as authorized under the Open Meetings Act, Public Act number 267 of 1976 as amended. Members of the public body and members of the public may participate electronically as directed on our website and posted at our township hall. That being said, I would like to call the meeting to order, and I would like to have the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance,
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, where are you? There you are.
Yes, sir.
Roll call, please.
Roll call. Mr. Kowal,
Here.
Mr. Roman,
Here.
Mr. Clerk, which is me here. Trustee Ruggles.
Here.
Trustee Smith.
Here.
Trustee Voorhees. Trustee Voorhees.
Oh, sorry. Present. I was unmuted. Present.
And Trustee Powell.
Here.
All members accounted for. Very good. I am looking to approve the agenda. However, what we're going to do in light of this afternoon, today's event of adding the patrol agreement as item 8 is in item 8. So I will make a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Looking for support. Looking for support from Scott Ruggles. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Kowal.
Yes.
Treasurer Roman.
Yes.
Clerk Noble here. Yes. Trustee Ruggles.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
yes,
Trustee Voorhees.
Yes.
Trustee Powell.
Yes.
Okay. Mike, are you still in Colorado?
No, I'm sitting in my office.
Okay, all right, you looked all bundled up there, so nice and comfy. Okay, item number 5, public comment. At this time, if anyone from the public would like to comment on anything on or off the agenda at this time, you'll use the raise your hand feature, and Alex will recognize you, and you will have 3 minutes to state what it is you would like to talk about. We do request that you give us your name and your address for the recorder, and you will be limited to 3 minutes. At this time, Alex, do we have anyone in the wings?
So callers press star 9 to raise your hand. That is star 9. And we'll give it a few seconds here. Callers, once again, that's star 9 if you'd like to make a comment.
Okay, seeing as we have no public comment, we will close public comment and move on to item 6, consent agenda. I would like to make a motion to pass the consent agenda as submitted by the clerk's office. Looking for support. Mr.
Support.
Roman? I have motion, I have support. Looking for a roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Kowal.
Yes.
Treasurer Roman.
Yes.
Clerk Noble. Yes. Trustee Ruggles.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
yes,
Trustee Voorhees.
Yes.
Trustee Powell.
Yes.
I think we're all there, right? Okay. I'm used to a different voice there, Anthony. It's going to take a little while to get used to yours. Sorry. It's been a long time listening to that voice, the other voice, of which if you're out there, Terry, I hope you're well. Okay. So we have passed the consent agenda, item 6, moving on to the minutes. Looking for motion or comment from the board for the minutes for November 17th, 2020 meeting. Mr. Roman.
Motion to approve minutes from November 17th.
I have a
Um,
correction.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's all right. Go ahead, state your correction.
Page 10, in my trustee comments, it says, on behalf of her parents, her husband, Ron, that would be my husband, Bob. Sorry,
I'll say, who's your new boyfriend?
I can't tell you. We're on YouTube.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
That was it. Thank you.
Okay, any other board members? Thank you. All right, we had the motion.
I'd
Mr.
like to
Roman,
amend the motion
okay,
to include Ms. Voorhees' correction.
all right. Yes, Mr. Powell.
Support.
Mr. Powell is supporting. Motion support. Roll call vote, please, Mr. Clerk.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Powell,
Yes.
Supervisor Colwell,
Yes.
Trustee Ruggles,
Yes.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. First item under new business is item 8, which was added to the agenda. That came about this morning, came through us. Kathy DeRocher, are you there somewhere?
I am.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for joining us this evening. This is a 1-year extension, a tentative agreement for the term of 1 year for the police officers. Kathy, do you want to enlighten the board a little bit, and the public?
That's correct. The tentative agreement is for exactly that 1 year for the year 2021. We didn't want to go past that in light of the uncertainties in the next year. So we felt the 1-year extension was appropriate. There's a 2.5% increase, as well as adding additional step increase to the dispatcher group. We found that there's been some turnover there, so we wanted to add an additional step to the wage scale that was supported by Chief Keller, as well as the rest of the department. So that this seemed an appropriate time to do that. In addition to that, there was just the FTO, which is the training time that was added. So again, it was a request by the patrol unit, and Chief Keller felt that that was also appropriate.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Seeing none, I would like to, Mr. Roman.
I was just going to motion, Rick.
Yes, please.
This motion to approve the police command tentative agreement.
I have a motion
Support.
to approve. I have support from Trustee Smith. And roll call vote, please.
Trustee Powell,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Supervisor Colwell,
Yes.
Trustee Ruggles,
Yes.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
and Clerk Noble, yes.
Very good.
If I may, Mr. Supervisor, can you see me on your screen, or do I need to know to speak up?
I can hear you and see you.
Okay.
You're in the proper grouping this time, not like the last meeting. So,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And the next item will be 8A, which is a request to approve a police command tentative agreement. Kathy?
So again, this is for the police department, the command unit. We are simply adding a 2.5% increase for the year 2021. The rank differential remains the same as it is in the current contract, and there are no other changes.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Seeing none. Mr. Powell, would you care to make a motion?
Be glad to make a motion. Mr. Supervisor, I move that we approve the one-year tentative agreement between the police officers and Labor Council and the White Lake Township as presented.
I have a motion looking for support.
Support.
Mr. Ruggles, I have support. Roll call vote, please, Mr. Clerk.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Powell,
Yes.
Supervisor Kowal,
Yes.
Trustee Ruggles,
Yes.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
and myself, the clerk, yes.
Thank you. Item 8B, request to approve MAPE a tentative agreement, a one-year extension. Kathy?
So this is our general township employee group. We, again, just have the 2.5% increase with no other changes, only for the year 2021.
Thank you. Again, a 1 year's extension of this particular contract that we are currently under. Any questions from the board?
Andrea has one.
Yes, Andrea.
I know October, November, we as a board decided to go against any increases for us township employees.
This is not that motion. This is not that
Okay,
item.
sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. No, you're good.
Any questions
Sorry.
from the board? Seeing none, looking for a motion? Mr. Ruggles?
Sure, Mr. Supervisor, I'll make a motion to approve the 1 year agreement between Township of White Lake and the Police Officers Labor Council. Item 8B.
Okay, that will be the Michigan Association of Public Employees, the MAPE agreement.
The MAPE agreement, yes.
Yep,
Yes,
I
okay.
apologize. I was looking at it wrong.
I have a motion, looking for support.
Or
I support from Trustee Smith. Roll call vote, please.
Clerk Noble, yes. Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Trustee Roman,
Yes.
or Treasurer Roman, Trustee Ruggles,
Yes.
Trustee Powell,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
yes.
Supervisor Kowal, yes. Okay. Motion carries. Item 8C, Resolution 20-043 to approve non-union employee and elected official wage, a 1 year extension. And of course, as all of us know, we generally follow the union contracts out there. Catherine?
So this mirrors the 2.5% increase that all of the bargaining units that have settled so far have agreed to. This, as Rick says, applies to our department heads and can as well apply to our elected officials in addition to our part-time employees. It simply mirrors the 2.5% increase, again, only for 1 year for 2021.
Thank you. In anticipation of your comment, Andrea, is what we talked about last month. We had at that particular time, we did not have any of the other labor agreements on our radar. So we were not going to take any advancement. Since then, we have, and I will tell you, this is owed to the diligence and very hard work of Catherine DeRocher, our new HR person.
Yep.
Without her, this team would have not been able to put all these together. I will tell you that I think what was done extremely quickly and efficiently, and the different unions were very agreeable and amicable to work with us. And I felt it was a very successful grouping of negotiation. Kathy, I would like to thank you very, very much for all your hard work, and it's greatly appreciated, and I certainly appreciate you being in your new position.
Thank you.
And this is a perfect example of her abilities and hard work. Mr. Powell.
Yeah, I wanted to concur, Mr. Colwell. I think Kathy's doing an excellent job, and I really appreciate her new position. I did have a question, though. How much help did the township labor attorney have in these negotiations?
He of course helped. He was involved. I will say that the MAPE unit, we resolved that contract fairly quickly with a discussion from our labor attorney and their business rep. So, you know, the timing was good. The didn't drag out. There were not a lot of labor costs in that contract specifically.
Okay, thank you.
I
Thank
have
you.
something to say. I'm sorry, Andrea, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Noble?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
go ahead,
go ahead.
Anthony.
You know, it's kind of interesting. I get to sit on this side. I've sat on the other side as a union negotiator, and I know what kind of work it takes. And I want to thank Kathy Drozier, and that when they're in her new position with that, I'd like to thank the unions for going into these untrying times, coming up with that 1-year agreement. I know they had to work hard. Typically, union contracts will go over years, sometimes up to 3 years. So she was very diligent on her work, and I appreciate her efforts along with, I know the supervisor was part of that, along with the unions. So it was a quick response and a great turnout. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Noble. Andrea, I'm sorry. We
No, you're
started to
good.
talk to you and it kind of went around the mulberry bush and now it's coming back to you.
And I told Anthony to go ahead. No, my biggest problem with this resolution is I'm not saying that the non-union full-time and the part-timers need it, but I just don't like being in group together with the elected officials. 2020 has been an odd fiduciary year for the state of Michigan and the country as a whole. I, as a leader of White Lake Township, I don't want a 2% raise or 2.5% raise. I absolutely love Kathy's, proactiveness in doing this, but that's the main reason I'm voting it down. I don't think if this resolution was without the elected, I would be all about it. But since we're part of it, I'm not for a raise for myself.
So if I may,
Very good.
I feel the same way, Supervisor.
I'll acknowledge you. Just one moment. Are you done, Andrea?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Smith, please.
Thank you. So I feel the same way. I would prefer not to take a raise as an elected official. However, the way that this has been bundled and packaged, I would never vote against our very deserving township employees. So I'm conflicted here. I will vote yes if it can't be separated, because I would never vote against our deserving employees. But if the elected officials can be removed out of this package, is that possible, Kathy? Because I feel, the same way that as an elected official, I don't need to take a raise when our residents are struggling right now. I don't feel comfortable in doing so. If it can't be separated, I understand, and I will vote yes for our employees' sake.
Did you want me to respond, Rick?
Go ahead and respond, Kathy.
The resolution can be amended at board, at your discretion. It was presented this way. Of course, you always have the option to amend it.
Let me remind the board that historically, this particular community has followed these particular steps simply because we have not decided to have a compensation board. And I know that's one of Mike Powell's favorite things, and he wants to jump on that next week, and he's willing to chair that board. Right, Mike?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So it is a fair and equitable way to keep our particular elected officials and the non-union folks that we have here in line with the rest of the costs that the township puts up with and expenditures. We are in good fiscal condition. The township and this board has been extremely fiscally responsible. I was actually able to put a budget together that we were actually under last year's budget. Now, mind you, we did not have these particular raises for any of these labor groups in mind. So we'll probably have to have a budget amendment. But at the time that the budget was put together, we did not have these contracts in place. They have now come to fruition, and we will now execute them. With the uncertainty that next year brings, a 2.5% rate is a very minimal rate, actually just slightly over what I believe, Mike, what is inflation in 2020? Mr. Roman?
I'm sorry, Rick.
What was the inflation rate in 2020?
Depending on which website you go to, you're going to find something right around 2%.
Okay, so you're probably looking at realistically at a basis of a cost of living about a 0.5% increase in wages. So seeing as to keep this as a format that we use, not trying to rely on any other format for the time being, because I know that there are some residents out there that would like to see us go to a compensation committee, which may be something that might be brought before this board to discuss at a later time. However, this comes to us this way. So as it is posted, are there any more conversation from the board? Questions or comments? Mr. Roman?
Yeah, I have had many discussions with former clerk Terry Lilly. Terry did convince me that probably the most equitable way to look at wage increases or decreases or wage freezes is to follow the rest of the township. My problem with the wage committee is that it would be created by this same board. How can that be independent? I don't see how that could happen. And at the same time, I don't think any of us are overpaid. That's all I had, Rick.
Thank you, Michael. Mr. Noble.
Yeah,
Mr. Noble.
I'd like to commend everybody who sits on the board in the past and the workers. We're at a 79% MERS pension funded with the OPEB, which we're throwing money into that now. We're way ahead of a lot of cities. Before the legislation came into effect a few years back, we're way ahead of the game. So I think I'd like to give some props to Treasurer Roman for being fiscally sound there and the board. A lot of cities are, Dearborn Heights was, last time I looked, was 120 million in the hole. So as a community, we're doing excellent in that area.
Very good. Thank you. Any other comments from the board? Entertaining a motion? Mr. Roman?
Yeah, I'll motion to approve resolution 20-043 non-union employee and elected official wage resolution.
1 year extension.
1 year extension.
Okay, I have motion. Looking for support.
Support.
I have support by Mr. Powell. Mr. Clerk, roll call vote.
Trustee Voorhees,
With comment, with my apologies to the various non-union full-time and part-time employees. No.
Trustee Powell,
Yes.
Trustee Ruggles, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Supervisor Kowal,
Yes.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes, with comment. I'm voting yes in support of our employees, but historically I vote no against elected officials raises, excuse me. So I do vote yes with comment in support of our employees. Thank you.
Clerk Noble, yes.
Okay, we got everybody there? Okay, motion carries. Item D, request to approve MERS defined
Hey, Rick?
benefit. Yes, I'm sorry. I beg your
Can I
pardon.
make a quick comment?
Certainly.
I do believe that for those that have voted no, if you wish to decline the raise, you would need to let the accounting department know.
Actually, I was thinking about donating it to charity, but I like that thought also, Mike. So thank
Yeah,
you.
You would need to let them know for payroll purposes.
Okay.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you, Mr. Roman. Moving on, item 8D, request to approve MERS defined benefit plan adoption agreement. Well, if you had nothing to do for 45 minutes and you were bored and you pulled that up and you started to look at that and read that, it'll put you to sleep. So for those board members who may not be able to sleep for some reason, I strongly recommend you pull it up and read that and report in its entirety and application. Kathy, I don't know how the hell you got through it, but I have studied it twice, and the first time it was a little tough to get the total gist of it, but after I looked at it and after having conversations with you, I understand now that it is a reorganizing and a restructuring of something, which is why it is new, which is why there were some questions through a few of the department heads throughout the township as to where this came from. And it's just a reconfiguring of how the day is structured. Kathy, it's fair to put it into layman's terms if you can.
Yes, of course. So MERS is our retirement system, and they basically have been revising their policies and procedures so that the definition of how you get credited service is more defined to the specific municipality. They used to have a very general application of that term, which was 10 8-hour days in a given month gave you credited service for the month. And that is important to know because that's basically how your pensions are determined. So that they realized that that did not fit every municipality and every division within a municipality and every union contract and every nuance within that union contract. So that resulted in this 50+ page document because we have 8 groups within MERS. So the groups are broken down not only by the division, whether they're police patrol, police command, fire, a general township, etc., but also based on their date of hire, if there are nuances within the contract that changed. So that was basically just to give you an example. So what they've done is they provided this format that they wanted us to follow and basically fill in the blank and identify every scenario. What the term is of a work day, how many work days a particular division must work in a given month to get service credit for that month. They also had us identify very specifically whether they would get service credit for sick leaves, for example, and the different scenarios that fall under a sick leave. So that's why the form in the document is so long, because there are many scenarios that you have to consider in identifying these. The document that's before you doesn't change our current practice. We basically have just clarified it for them. I compared each scenario to how it's been administered, and the administration is consistent with what we're doing now. The one area that is different is that definition of a workday. We have firefighters that work 24-hour days. We have patrol officers who work 10-hour days. We have general township employees that work 7.5-hour days. So that needed to be spelled out in the document. That does differ. Other than that, I mean, the practice is consistent with how we are currently administering the plan. And they've assured me that if we find that there are changes that need to be made based on either negotiations within a group or an error, they can be made quite readily. So that's the answer.
Yeah, it's a rather involved document, and again, I kudos to you for handling that. It's like watching paint dry. So, but I'm glad you got through it, and it was arduous to get through. Any questions or comments from the board members? Mr. Powell.
Don't we have some groups that are not covered by MERS? Because I thought we were eliminating pensions from the new hirees.
No, we're not eliminating pensions. The formula may vary between the groups, but the FAC and the formula that's used, that might be slightly reduced amongst the newer groups, but every full-time employee within the township is eligible for this. There could be a variance if there's an employment contract. That would be an exception. Could be an exception.
So I thought maybe we had a group that used 401ks instead of the MERS pension program.
Those are by contract only.
Okay.
They would have had to have agreed to that when they were hired.
Okay, thank you, Kathy.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, looking for a motion. Mr. Noble.
Make a motion to pass the MERS defined benefit plan adoption agreement.
I have a motion support from Mr. Ruggles. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Smith, Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Trustee Powell,
Yes.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Trustee Ruggles,
Yes.
Supervisor Kowal,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Resolution 20-046, declaring a local state of emergency to protect the public peace, health, safety, and general welfare. This is related to COVID-19. If some of you members recall, back in March, there was a very small group of us that met at the annex to declare the state of emergency that was required. I think, Mr. Powell, you were there.
Correct.
For the township to have that state in place for a number of regulatory reasons and also for qualifications for different programs, grants, things of that nature to come across. We are seeing that this situation has not remedied itself, although there is hope on the horizon, and that it has been recommended that we declare the state of emergency that we would roll into from the year from December to January. Excuse me, this goes through March of 21, because we don't know exactly what is going to happen. It will keep us in a position. I believe we're going to see this happen pretty much statewide, and I believe that you're going to see the county re-up theirs in January as well. Therefore, I would highly recommend that the board promote this. Ms. Hamami, any comment?
I just wanted to add, we drafted that state of emergency declaration because the Open Meetings Act allowed us to continue having meetings electronically through the end of 2020. It required an act, in part a declaration for the board to continue to do this beyond December 31st, 2020. We prepared the resolution and it's on for consideration tonight. And we only put it through the end of March because we don't know what's going to happen. And I've written you a letter to explain all the documents that I have been presented to you, but I do want to also throw in here some new information. And that is that the Senate passed legislation, and we're waiting for the House to pass it, that would extend the allowance to continue electronic meetings for no reason through the end of March. MML is telling us there's a good chance it's going to happen this week. We're hopeful it does, because I think Thursday's the last day that the House is in session. It doesn't really matter if you pass this resolution for White Lake, because we've at least met that requirement. I know a lot of communities did not pass a resolution and are banking on this legislation. So it's probably going to come with some additional restrictions and requirements that we'll have to amend our rules of procedure on. But for now, this gets us assurances that we're going to at least be able to get through March, whether or not that legislation passes.
Lisa, I've got a question for you.
Sure.
What would be a reason that another board would not pass this resolution? What are the negatives associated with that?
I don't know of any negatives. I think that a lot of people were banking on that legislation for some time now, and so they didn't think this was necessary.
I'm just going to let the state take care of it, but knowing is how things can and cannot work, Lisa felt that it would be prudent that we would take care of this and put the township in the proper position.
I know that a lot of communities are now scrambling to try to get some type of resolution on an agenda because this bill hasn't passed the House yet and literally have 2 days left for the end of the year. So I err on the side of caution. I take the conservative approach, and I wanted to get us up to speed and ready to go just in case.
And Lisa, I certainly thank you for that.
I happen to agree as well.
Okay. Mr. Powell?
Yes, obviously, if we adopt this, it applies to every committee and board that meets in the township, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So the rules, which will come next, apply to everything. Yes. The state of emergency is what's required in order to have the electronic meetings. The rules are what dictate who, how, when, where.
What and why?
So who determines, so the state legislature and governor can determine whether or not the state is under a state of emergency. And then that would be another way that this resolution would end, correct?
Or the county. The county, we've heard rumblings that the county is considering it, but it won't happen this year, but that they are considering a state of emergency for next month. And if that passes, then yes, we wouldn't need our local state of emergency in order to effectuate the Open Meetings Act amendments.
How might, and would this be a state issue? How might this ability to have video conferencing or video meetings, how might it be extended in perpetuity for no reason of an emergency, state of emergency, but just to allow for those that are on vacation or sick or something like that to attend?
An amendment to the Open Meetings Act that allows it in perpetuity for no reason. They only extended that for no reason through the end of this year. Unless there's a state of emergency, which is why we declared it. Now they're talking about extending that to the end of March for no reason. But I kind of feel like if they were, my personal opinion, if they were even contemplating that, they would just do it now.
Trustee Smith?
Well, I just wanted to mention that I brought this up last summer with Lisa, that I do believe, according to the MTA, that any board member can attend electronically or video call conference if they're on vacation or sick or out of the state, unable to attend, as long as that is publicly posted by noon the day before of where they are located during the meeting. So according to MTA, a board member can participate by video conference at any time. It just hasn't been common practice in White Lake Township, and it hasn't been done in White Lake Township, but according to MTA, it is acceptable as long as the board member, it's publicly posted where the board member is participating from.
Under the new Open Meetings Act amendment, yes, if the board member is sick.
During the state of emergency, during this amendment, yes, if
Yes.
they're sick, but I know you and I have a difference of opinion on this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we will take that opinion off to the side somewhere else for a conversation. Let's
it
get to the
can
matter.
happen.
We
To
will get to
answer
the
trustee,
matter.
excuse me,
Yes.
I'm not done speaking. According to answer trustee Powell, it could potentially happen if you were unavailable or on vacation. You are allowed, according to MTA, to video conference in.
Again, we have a difference opinion on that. Mr. Roman?
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 20-046, the resolution declaring a local state of emergency to protect the public, peace, health, safety, and general welfare.
I have a motion looking for support. Mr.
Gloria will
Ruggles?
support that.
Mr. Ruggles will support. Roll call vote, please.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
myself, Clerk Noble, yes. Supervisor Kowal,
Yes.
Trustee Ruggles,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Trustee Powell,
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Going on to item 8F, request to approve the rules of procedure for electronics meetings. Lisa, anything to add to those other than what they are?
Nothing to add unless anybody has questions about some of the rules that I put in here.
Did
Question
you
or
write them,
comment?
Lisa?
I'm sorry?
Did you write them?
I sure did.
Really?
And trust me, I looked everywhere and asked everybody had they drafted any before I did, because I would have stolen them.
Really? Wow, that's
But
impressive.
nobody had.
Wow. Oh, good job.
Okay,
Thanks.
very good. Questions or comments from the board? Mr. Roman?
Motion to approve the rules of procedure for electronic meetings.
I have a
Support.
motion. I have support from Mr. Powell. Roll call vote, please, Mr. Clerk.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
trustee Ruggles,
Yes.
clerk Noble, yes. Supervisor Colwell,
Yes.
trustee Smith,
Yes.
treasurer Roman,
Yes.
trustee Powell.
Yes.
Very good. Okay, motion carries. Item G, Resolution 20040 to approve special assessment bonds for Bogey Lake North Sewer Main, more or less more commonly known as the Pinecrest subdivision. This has gone on for some time. What we'd like to do is get these bonds out there so that we can get them to market and they're approved. Mr. Roman, any comment?
I am just so glad to get this project moving forward. And with that, Rick, I'd like to make a motion to approve the bond resolution 20-040.
I will support that.
Under
So-
discussion?
Mr. Powell.
Under discussion, yes. I didn't know if there's any validity to waiting on selling these bonds. Certainly, we can give the authorization, waiting on selling these bonds until we might be able to couple them with a couple other projects that have monies due.
The answer is no.
Okay,
Okay. And the reason it is these people are in an urgent situation. Time is of the essence.
all right.
We
very
have people we have multiple homes on Pump and Hall, and to in light of what you're saying, which I totally agree with you, by the way, we may have some projects in the future that we may be able to bundle a couple together for another project,
good. Okay,
of which we will have some discussion here as we go through this. But on this particular project, because of what it is and the urgency, I believe we need to move forward. There's just been the bureaucratic machine dragged its feet, unfortunately, during this COVID and delayed this. Aaron beat his head against a rock to the point where it was flat, trying to get this through. So I am not going to, it's not going to happen. I had motion from Mike. Who supported it? I'm sorry.
We're looking for support.
Okay, we're looking for support. Mr.
support.
Ruggles will support. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
trustee Powell,
did you say Powell?
yes, sir.
Yes.
Myself, clerk Noble, yes. Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
trustee Ruggles,
Yes.
treasurer Roman,
Yes.
supervisor Colwell.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you very much, board. I know the folks there will certainly appreciate this. Next item is Resolution 20-041 to confirm a special assessment role for the Special Assessment District Design 2020 through 2025 residential refuse collection. That was the 5-year agreement that we had all worked on when we had the opportunity, and Trish had the opportunity to get in with GFL and get them in sync with what we're doing. And we have a very good, solid contract and very comfortable. That has all been signed and moved forward. This just confirms that assessment. So essentially, that is what this is all about. Are there any questions from the board? Mr. Powell.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 20-041, which confirms a special assessment role for the Special Assessment District designated 2020 through 2025, the residential refuse collection project.
We have motion looking for support. We have support from Mr. Roman. Roll call vote, Mr. Clerk.
Supervisor Colwell,
Yes.
treasurer Roman,
Yes.
clerk Noble, yes. Treasurer Voorhees, or I'm sorry, trustee Voorhees.
Trustee Voorhees, yes.
Trustee Voorhees. Trustee Smith,
Yes.
trustee Powell,
Yes.
and trustee Ruggles.
Yes.
Trying to tell us, Andrea, something for 24?
That'd be negatory.
It's got a good ring to it, Andrea.
Yeah, okay.
I
Just
agree.
checking.
It did have a
Just
great,
checking.
good ring to it at one time too.
Yeah, at one time. Okay, item I, Resolution 20-042, tentatively declare its intent to establish a special assessment district be known as Oak Ridge Park Sewer Main. Mike, this is one of the ones that we're talking about that potentially
Okay.
could go together. Now we just want to establish the intention. That's all we're trying to do.
Yep.
And this does make sense to be looked at. Now, we will, as a board, and we will in our sewer meetings, which we will get back on track here, have some further conversation regarding potential use of PA 188 funds for some of these smaller projects, of which there is a strategy behind this that could benefit these smaller projects, because the bonding cost on the small ones, as we all know and we've
Yeah.
seen, can be prohibitive. Can have a major impact in a job. And the other thing is, when you go to put a $300,000 or $400,000 bond out there, there's not a lot of people biting on it. So we need to try to do what we can to remedy these problems for our residents, and we have the economic means in place to do this. Now, it's not to say that we couldn't group a few of them under PA 188 and then eventually bond them out after the fact to replenish that fund. There's a number of different avenues that we could take a look down. I would put Mr. Roman's opinion high above any on this as to how we should handle this financially. But for the time being, I think this is just a resolution to declare its intention to establish the assessment district known as Oak Ridge Park Sewer Main. Mr. Potter, I have a question for you. If Mr. Ruggles, hold on. How many a total? I did a count, but how many residences are there in this particular group?
Well, that is a good question. It's about 40 or so.
Yeah, I would say 39 or 40.
Yeah. You have to forgive me.
That's okay.
There are 40 parcels.
Okay, so we're both, I looked at it and I thought, it looks like there's about 40 here. So you are correct. So this is one of those parcel projects that is just, it's a problematic project for financing, but yet it's a huge impact to the water quality, of which we have all talked about here in this community. So I'm going to highly recommend that we approve this resolution to tentatively declare. As a matter of fact, is there any more conversation from the board at this time? I would like to make a motion. That's why.
I had a question.
Yes, Mr. Ruggles.
Yeah, so I'm reading this memo. And it's got a cost of approximately $310,000, and it says with a per REU cost of $8,600. So if you take 310 divided by 40, that's $7,750. Is the $8,600 an additional cost? Maybe you can help me understand that, Aaron.
Yeah, there's some township admin fees in there. There's going to be some engineering fees. Janine didn't. You'll see the full cost breakdown of this when we come to establish the district at the next public hearing. I'm not sure why Janine didn't put my full cost estimate in here. One thing I would note that the cost estimate that we did on this was based on the Castlewood project. This is another one that's kind of been kicked around for 7 months or so. Since then, we've gotten some bids in for another project that we had on the agenda for Pinecrest. And so we would like to, I think, combine this. These costs, we do expect them to probably come down from this, but I don't know how much. This project is kind of small enough to where we wouldn't probably bond this on its own, but it's a large chunk of money if we wanted to pay for it out of, say, major maintenance or PA 188. So I think this is definitely one of these where if we can combine this and the Hulbert, there's another item on the agenda tonight for the Hulbert, to adjourn the Hulbert resolution till the next meeting. The reason for that is because we would like to look at the potential of bonding and bidding these as two parts of one project. There's also a SCADA project on the agenda tonight that maybe the board might consider adding into some of these bonds, but we don't have a lot of money in major maintenance. We've spent over $300,000 on the Shotwell project that, we haven't really received those invoices yet. Shotwell relining and the East Ox Hill relining. So, with the totals on these, it's going to be cost prohibitive for us to pay for this with cash. So I'd like to just, that's why we're moving these forward, to try to bond these together potentially.
Yes, Lisa.
Scott, there's also contingencies that are usually built into these estimates, just to answer your question.
10%. Yeah.
I-
Okay.
I think this is a good opportunity, seeing as though we do have a new board member, and for the benefit of the public, Rick, to kind of just lay out what the township's process is in establishing special assessment districts, and the explanation being this one is the very first step. This is what we refer to as the intention resolution, and this is the township simply declaring their intention to create the special assessment district. This resolution in front of you actually schedules the first public hearing on the establishment of the district, and that public hearing date, for the benefit of the public, is January 19, 2021 at the township board meeting at 7:00. I know this resolution says at the township hall. I presume that's not going to be the case. I presume it's going to be an electronic meeting. So any motion to approve this resolution, I ask that we amend the location of the public hearing in the resolution to reflect that it's an electronic meeting. At that January 19th meeting, prior to the January 19th meeting, Janine will publish notice and also mail letters to every person, every property owner that's in the district, letting them know that the township's considering establishing the district. And at that January 19th meeting is when the township board will decide whether to establish. Individuals in the district can come and object, and the township board can decide at that point to remove people from the district or to add people to the district. But that's really the last chance to establish the district, to determine the parcels that will be included in that district. That resolution that you'll see at January 19th will schedule a public hearing to confirm the role. And then that's the third resolution that you will see, that's confirming the role. At that public hearing, individuals may appear and object to the amount that they're being assessed. And again, if they don't come to these public hearings and object, they lose their opportunity to appeal at the Michigan Tax Tribunal down the line. So really, there are three resolutions: intention, establishment, confirmation. That's how Janine and I always refer to them, although you guys have a lot more words in your titles. Just to give you the idea, this is the intention resolution. This is the very first step, letting the public know you're considering it, and you're going to establish it at the January 19th meeting if this resolution passes.
Thank you, Lisa. Mr. Potter.
Yeah, so I'd like to also add, just for the benefit of the public, that all of these costs that we have on this intention resolution tonight are preliminary estimates. Once we establish the district, at that hearing, I will typically ask the board to approve engineering that has to happen between the establishment of the district and the confirmation of the role. So at that meeting, I'll ask the board to approve usually an engineering services agreement for the design and geotechnical work. And then we will, at that point, go out to request for bids. And so typically, before we come to the confirmation of the role, I will at that time have accurate cost estimates. These estimates, like I said, are based on a project that was completed 3 years ago. So, this year we've had, I didn't want to make these folks have another delay while we went and redid all these cost estimates. For now, this is, I guess, a good enough estimate for them to go out and kind of, get a petition around the neighborhood. But going forward, we will be bringing that engineering services agreement to the board at the next public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Potter. Any other questions from the board? Mr. Roman.
Are there any callers, Rick, on this project?
I am not sure. We didn't have anything. Alex, do we have anyone out there who has any questions on this in the public?
Of callers, that is *9 to raise your hand if you'd like to make a comment.
Regarding this particular item?
Once again, *9 if you'd like to make a comment on this item. We'll give it a few more seconds. I see no hands raised.
Okay, so we will go for it. Mr. Roman?
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 20-042, tentatively declaring our intention to establish a special assessment district to be known as the Oak Ridge Park Sewer Main. And I'd like to make that motion with two changes as follows, both in paragraph 2, changing the date of the public hearing to January 19th, 2021, with the meeting to take place electronically.
Mr. Supervisor, I had a question and you just didn't happen to see me before
I'm
Mr. Roman made
sorry.
his motion.
I'm sorry, Trustee Smith.
That's
sorry.
okay. I
Please.
wanted to thank Mr. Potter for explaining the cost structure in this project, because that's what I was going to mention, that this is a little different. I don't, per our conversation today with the conversation I had with Mr. Potter, I don't believe a contingency fee is built into this, correct?
Yes, there is a contingency fee built into this. I always add a contingency to all of my estimates.
Okay, so I just wanted to be clear on that because there was a question by Trustee Ruggles, so I just wanted to have clarification before we move forward.
Very good.
Thank you.
Mr. Roman made a motion. Mr. Powell?
Support.
Mr. Powell is supporting. We have motion support. Roll call vote, Mr. Clerk?
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Trustee Powell,
Yes.
Supervisor Kowal,
Yes.
Trustee Ruggles,
Yes.
and Treasurer Roman.
Yes.
Very good. Motion carries. Item J, Resolution 20-044 to tentatively declare its intention excuse me, to establish a special assessment district to be known as the Twin Lakes Village Road Paving. Mr. Roman?
This is a resolution for roads to be reconstructed within Twin Lakes on the private roads. I would probably refer to Janine to really explain any of the detail, Rick. I do believe we're going to have a caller on this plan.
Okay. Janine, any comments on this?
I just want to point out that this being a road, it's different. Like we have a sewer department. We do not have a road department. So in this case, the owners of, or the people that put this petition through also already got bids and have done all of the preliminary work on their own to establish this special assessment.
Very good.
I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Ruggles?
So I'm not sure if I should ask Janine this, but on this map, I'm looking at, I guess, kind of the top left. So on the one street, all the homes on the south and the east are highlighted, but nothing on the north or the west. Why would the homes on the other side not be included in SAD that's repaving that street? Or are they not repaving that street? How do you decide which homes to choose and which ones not to choose?
Okay, the homes that are involved are all the people that are in the Twin Lakes Village condo association. They have private roads. So Twin Lakes Village includes roads that are private and roads that are public. So the people that are included in the map are all the people that are part of the condo association, which are, their roads aren't all private, but they are part of the association related to this.
I see. Okay.
So they,
I can add to that, Janine.
Yep.
Scott, the parcels that you are looking at, that's a great question. The question is, why is only one side of the street paying for that? So that road is not being repaved with this assessment. However, those parcels have agreed to chip in towards the cost of this district, of this repair. And so that's really the answer as to why. I hope that explains it.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, they value their safety in their cars. Mr. Powell.
Certainly, they would be included in the intention, and they might be included in the overall SAD district. Each one of them have the ability to come back to us on the public hearing at the assessment roll that even though they're included in the district, maybe their total amount shouldn't be the same as those using the actual roadways.
Mike, this is an interesting district, and I'm hoping Jim Cush is going to speak, but I think their game plan is to have the association that includes those parcels has a road fund that they're going to use to chip in for those parcels. By doing that, they can keep the costs down for those residents that actually live on the private roads.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, so there's, we've talked about road funds before, and this particular group had the insight to actually implement one.
Right.
And now it's coming to assist them in this manner. Those folks travel a little greater distance to get out of the subdivision, so they get to rattle over an old ratty road or contribute to pay for it. So it does affect their overall quality of life. Okay, Mike, were you thinking we were going to have a call?
Yeah, if we can check to see if Jim Cush is called in, I think he would be a great person to answer any more questions from the board.
So we have one caller that has raised their hand. It's the last four is 6193. So now, caller, you will press *6 to unmute.
Are you there, caller?
Yep, I'm here. Yep. Yeah, my name is Jim Cush. I live at 410 Berry Patch Lane, and I am the president of the TLVA Homeowners Association and help put this together. So I just wanted to let you guys know I'm here to answer any questions that you have, and I've heard you discussing it. So I could just say a couple things real quick. First of all, I really appreciate Lisa giving an explanation of how this all happens. That was very helpful. As I said, there are some residences that are not. They're involved because it's part of their community, but what the association has done is we've put together a road fund over the last several years, and any assessment that those particular homeowners get, we will be paying for them, so they will not be affected. And then monies we have left over, our intention is to throw some of that against the overall cost too. This is, I don't know if you've been down there, but this is getting pretty necessary. And the one request I would have, and maybe I'm out of line with this because I'm new at this, but anything that you guys can do expeditiously, whether it's yes or no, would be really helpful, because if we're going to do this, we're trying to get it done next year, because we've been told, we went out, we did get estimates, and we've been working on this, and we've been told that if we wait a year to 2022, the likelihood of the cost going up potentially significantly is there, and we're going to try to avoid that if we can in any way, so. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer it for you.
I think you've done a good job gathering the support and garnering it, and again, having the insight to have that road fund in place. Mr. Powell?
Yes, Jim, if you could help me, do you actually have engineering drawings already, or are you just dealing with one contractor to give you estimates?
No, so what we did, we used G2. I think they're a general contractor that, has worked with White Lake a number of times in the past. Our total subdivision has 2 associations in it. The other half of the sub got their roads redone about 6 years ago, and G2 worked with them. And so we're utilizing them. So they came out, they did a full geotechnical survey, examined the roads. We've got, the entire report we put on our website for transparency for all our residences to go ahead and take a look at. So we've done all that.
Okay, and then are they proposing to grind the roads up and rebuild them or just overlay?
No, they're going to grind them up. They're going to take off the top 4 inches of asphalt and replace those totally. Right now, the base underneath that is undamaged at this point. They think it's only a matter of time. You can't tell how long it's going to be. It's not going to be 10 years. Sometime probably 2, 3, 5 years, that gets damaged. If we go to replace them at that point, I don't have to tell you if you know anything about it, the cost goes up exponentially. And so we're trying to get it done before that occurs.
All right, thank you very much. Good answer.
Okay.
Mr. Ruggles.
Yeah, Jim, I'd just like to say, I'm looking at this here. You got 68% of the resident signatures, which is impressive. Either you're very convincing or your roads are very bad.
No, I will tell you, yeah, I appreciate that, but I will tell you this. My whole intent with this, and the board's intent here, was not to redo the roads, but was to give the residents the opportunity to do so if they wanted to. And we had 10 days to get that signed petition back to make this meeting.
Wow.
And so, yeah, the 68%, there was several residences that were out of town. We came across 5 people who were still in deed but died. There were like 5 or 6 empty lots that we weren't able to contact. Those all count as no. Despite that, we were still at 68%. The residents that we actually contacted and had been expressed their opinion, we were at 75% in favor. So,
Wow, that's impressive. Very much. Any other questions from the board? I would like to entertain a motion then. Mr. Roman.
Yes, I will make a motion to approve resolution 20-044, which tentatively declares our intention to establish an SAD to be known as the Twin Lakes Village Road Paving Project, with the following changes. In paragraph 1, remove the following roads: Sunny Beach Drive, Berry Patch Lane, and Sandy Ridge Drive, which are actually public roads. And then in paragraph 2, to change the date of that public hearing to January 19th of 2021.
Very good. We have motion. Looking for support. I have support from Mr. Powell. Roll call vote, Mr. Clerk.
Supervisor Kowal,
Yes.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes, with a comment. I just wanted to say thank you to my deputy treasurer, Lisa Reeser, who was kind enough to review this project and pointed out to me many of the issues that we discussed, including the fact that there were public roads mentioned. So thank you, Lisa.
Clerk Noble, yes. Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Trustee Ruggles,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Powell.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. We are looking now at item.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. We'll be fine. 8K, resolution adjourning the hearing to establish a district for the Hulbert Sewer Main SAD. I think this is kind of self-explanatory. It will adjourn this meeting until January, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Line with the other one.
Very good. Okay. I'll make a motion to adjourn, to approve resolution 20-045 to adjourn the public hearing for North Hulbert Sewer Main Special Assessment. Looking for support?
Andrea will support that.
Take that from Andrea. Roll call vote, Mr. Clerk?
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Trustee Powell,
Yes.
Supervisor Kowal,
Yes.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
and Trustee Ruggles.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item L, request to approve SCADA system upgrades for sanitary sewer station and sewage meters. As you all know, we have all become very familiar with what SCADA is over the last couple of years. And I certainly appreciate Aaron Potter's education for us, giving us an
Rick?
education. Yes.
Rick, I meant to call Trustee Voorhees also on the
Oh,
last.
I beg your pardon.
Yeah. Thank
Andrew,
you. I thought you missed me. That would be a
Ah.
yes.
Oh, that would be a yes. Well, motion carries. Okay. Thank you. Well, that's okay. I would sometimes get in the conversation. Somebody would make a motion. I would forget who seconded it, and we'd go back and have to figure it out. You get going. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. But the SCADA systems, as we all know, are the the supervisor control and data acquisition that we've been trying to update multiple facilities around the township. When you have equipment, when you have a system, Mr. Powell, you'll vouch for it. It costs money to operate, and we have to be on our game for our technology. So this will bring us into the 21st century on a few of our aging systems that we have in place. And I know, Mr. Potter, that you'll give us a brief explanation as to what you want to do.
Yes, you basically covered it. Imagine if you would trying to use a 20-year-old computer to have this meeting right now. And that's essentially what our sanitary stations are doing at this point, at this very minute. So Oakland County around 2016 started working on upgrading their close to 20-year-old SCADA system, very similar to what we did on our water system. And they have now completed the majority of the project. White Lake Township is one of, I believe, the last 2 remaining communities to upgrade to the new system. This will include basically 8 stations that aren't currently upfitted with the new SCADA. There's not a lot of detail in this for you guys right now for security purposes. This is the basically the remote control to operate and monitor the system. So we're not going to put that kind of information out on the agenda. But yeah, so we started working this into the new stations from Worthington Crossing onward. So Worthington Crossing, Kroger, and the Trailside Meadow stations are connected to the new system. This would be for the remaining stations, which between the stations and then the 2 meter pits is, I believe, 10 sites. So the total on this, they say is not to exceed 234,800. I did have some breakdown on this. That cost is very, very similar to our cost estimates and our actual costs for the SCADA system for the water. And so as this is an Oakland County contract, I think our procurement policy allows us to jump onto that without a bunch of alternative bids. I did identify in this that this typically would come from sewer major maintenance. I would like the board to, and maybe Lisa, to give some opinion on whether or not we could group this in with some of these other SADs and possibly bond this. As you know, we just approved over $300,000 out of major maintenance for the Shotwell and East Ox Hill relining projects. That fund currently, I'm going on about a month-old numbers here, but that fund currently has somewhere around $1.171 million in it. So with this, and once we start to get the invoice on the Shotwell project, I think that's going to leave us, somewhere in that $500,000 to $600,000 range, and I think that's a little low for major maintenance reserves. So, yep. So what I'm asking for the board is to approve the Oakland County Water Resource SCADA system upgrade for the remaining White Lake sanitary sewer pump and metering sites, not to exceed $234,800, with discussion on where that should be paid. I also ask the board to approve that Supervisor Kowal be authorized to execute all documents associated with the agreement.
Thank you. Questions, comments from the board? Mr. Powell, you're looking, I just knew the hand was coming up.
It's a question for Treasurer Roman, maybe. What might be the advantage to the township to couple this with a bond sale that puts the obligation for us to pay that back over time with interest? Does that then allow us, do we make enough money on the monthly charges for the sanitary sewer as well as the capital charges to pay that loan back? Or should we fund this internally?
Mike, I'd really have to analyze it to look at that. I don't think $234,000 is enough to bond out anyway. I think your bonding costs would probably be prohibitive. You know, I know, Aaron, and correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Tom Traciak, wasn't his recent rate study, was it on just water or did it include sewer as well?
Tom Traciak did do a sewer rate for our SAW grant rate methodology. You know, so we can look back at that. That is an interesting point. Now, I've been quite a bit of a hawk lately on capital connection charges. As the board knows, I try my absolute hardest to collect all charges that are owed to White Lake Township for this reason. I mean, this $234,800, that $300,000 shot well project, all of that is paid for by major maintenance typically, and 100% of major maintenance comes from capital connection charges. So, you know, I think it's important to note that we do have some development projects out there right now that are in various stages of construction and permitting processes. We will have some additional funds coming into this major maintenance fund once we start to, you know, collect on those. But, you know, I guess I'll leave it up to the board to decide. I think I agree it would be cost prohibitive to bond this by itself. My question was, could we potentially combine this with, you know, we've got 2 SAD projects and maybe we could have some discussion. It doesn't have to be tonight on, you know, could we group some of these capital maintenance projects together and bond them as a bundle? I don't know how that's done, so.
Yeah, always a possibility, and we can look at it. You know, for this, I would say take it out of the sewer maintenance fund. I will say that we're making great progress in paying off the sewer debt from phase 1. It's my guess that that will be paid off in full within about a year. If you had asked me when I started with this township 8 years ago, I never would have dreamed that. So we've had so many new connections with our new construction, the apartments, and we're really doing well paying that debt back. I mean, financially, our sewer system is in better shape than it's been in a while. And so my recommendation for this fee would be to take it out of the sewer maintenance fund.
Any other questions or comments?
I had just 2 questions, Supervisor Kowal. Aaron, the old program that we're using, you said it was antiquated, correct?
Yeah, it's about 20 years old.
So what you were previously stating in your statement as the new system after 9/11, we need to be on par with security as far as Homeland Security for somebody breaching our infrastructure, correct? And this program would handle that security breach, correct?
All of our SCADA systems are always proprietary. They don't connect typically out to the world where they can be accessed. They do, these newer systems do use different types of encryption and whatnot to allow them to be, you know, in some cases web-based. You know, like I say, typically I wouldn't have that type of detailed discussion about the components of our system in a public hearing for security purposes. Let's just say this system is not going to be less secure than the old system, to be much more secure.
Great. Thank you for looking that up, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for your diligence.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, that being said, looking for a motion. Mr. Roman?
Sure, I'll motion to approve, not to exceed 235,000 to come out of sewer maintenance for the SCADA system upgrades for sanitary sewer station and sewage meters.
I have a motion, looking for support.
Could Mr. Roman amend that to also allow for the supervisor, Rick Cowell, to sign and execute the documents?
So amended.
I'll support.
A motion, support, roll call vote, Mr. Clerk?
Trustee Ruggles?
Yes.
Supervisor Kowal?
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees?
Yes.
Treasurer Roman?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Clerk, myself, yes. Trustee Powell?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item M. Item M is kind of an interesting thing, and it's kind of a sign of our times. We and our good friends at the EPA have decided that they have mandated certain policies, procedures, programs, things to be in place, and one of them is a risk resilience assessment. It is how we will act if we have a problem and how we deal with it. It's our water system information, our resilience strategies, emergency plans, procedures, all these things of this nature. And this is a rather comprehensive document which needs to be looked at from an engineering standard eye. We may know the nuts and bolts about locking the door and closing the gate and doing things that we're supposed to do and turning on the alarm, but this is much, much more comprehensive than that. And again, is a requirement by the EPA for us to, with the facilities that we have. And we can't get away from it, folks. It's another one of those, we have to have services. So DLZ has put a proposal before us to provide the necessary engineering review documents and prepare the plan. And I'm sure it will be a rather comprehensive plan. And they have a estimated cost of that not to exceed $22,000. In 2018, the America Water Infrastructure Act went into law, and it requires community water systems to serve over 3,000 people, 3,300 people, which puts us in our category to develop a risk and resilience assessment program. And that indeed is what this is about. If you read the information that was sent to you, it's rather involved. And I'm sure that this is going to get even more involved and be more interesting to read as we go through it, although some of it is going to be, for security reasons, will be withheld from prying eyes, so to speak, for obvious reasons. That is all I have to say about that. And I really didn't want to get into all the nuts and bolts on this for security purposes, other than the fact this is an EPA requirement. It's not something we can get away from. It's a $22,000 expenditure, and I'm sure it will be professionally created and drafted and presented to the board for review at a further time. Any questions from the board at this time? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Powell?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor. I will move approval of the DLZ contract for at a price not to exceed $22,000 for the USA EPA Risk and Resilient Assessment and Emergency Response Plan.
Thank you. I have motion, looking for support. I have support from Mr. Ruggles. Mr. Potter, did you have something you want to?
Yeah, I forgot to add in there the request to have Rick Cowell, the supervisor, execute all the documents.
Thank you.
Need to make Lisa happy.
Okay, thank you. It's a team. That's a team. Mr. Ruggles, did you?
I'll amend my support.
You'll amend your support. We have motion support. Mr. Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Clerk Noble, yes. Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Ruggles,
Yes.
Trustee Powell,
Yes.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Supervisor Colwell.
Yes. Very good. Our next item is trustee comments. With that, I will say, Andrea Voorhees, take the floor.
Thank you. I'd like to apologize for not being at the swearing in of our newest career firemen, Dylan, Scott, and Devin. Welcome to White Lake, and hopefully that supports some of our Station 3 personnel that we've been looking for a while. In regards to Parks and Rec, we're continuing to work with Beckett Rayer on the development of Stanley Park. Parks and Recs have been actually really busy the last since like about October, making great progress. And I had to finish off a year that we've had with some amazing historical moments. Yes, 2020 was different reasons for historical moments, but 100 years this year marked the anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which guaranteed the women the right to vote. So I, and along with a Historical Society person, sat and worked on some of the women of White Lake Township that have been elected officials. The first one was Olive Baller, and I apologize if I'm slaughtering any of these names. She was first elected in 1919, a year before we were able to vote. Margaret Beatty followed her. Eva Monroe in the 30s. Bonnie Elliott in the 80s to the 2000s. Bev Spohr in the 90s to 2000s. Josephine Spencer in the 1990s to the 2000s. Carol Burkhart in the 20s. Our first female trustee was in the 80s. I lost that date. That was able to bring some, and that was Jean Mayer. Some of the other names that I was able to find was Donna Huntoon, Jane Eccles, and those are the ladies that were the predecessors for Liz Fessler-Smith and myself. So I thank them. And signing off, I will say everyone have a great holiday season. Be safe, be healthy, and we're looking forward to a different 2021. Thank you.
Amen.
Very good. Mr. Ruggles.
Yeah. So the Planning Commission has not met since we last saw each other, but we have a meeting scheduled for Thursday. Congratulations to Anthony Noble on your first board meeting. I can remember mine. I sat next to Carol and she could tell I was nervous, so she would write down motions for me to make, and then she would say, "Here, this is an easy one, take this." And it sounds funny, but it was actually kind of helpful. And I had a brand new leather case. I had paper, everything was real organized, and she would make jokes like, 15 years ago, I had one of those. Look at me now. Same thing. I got a piece of paper and no leather case. No. So congratulations.
Okay.
If we ever sit next to each other, I'll pass you a note, help you out with your motions. Other than that, I'd just like to say Merry Christmas, and I'll see you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you. Mr. Powell.
Well, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I want to start out by kind of piggybacking on what Andrea said in the Parks and Rec Committee. The overall discussion and the presentation is trying to determine what aspects of the Stanley Park we want to bring before this township board. I believe the input has been extremely good, very valuable, and the input is trying to make it as usable to as many people in the township as we can. The goal is to make it a destination, someplace that people actually come and want to actually come there to recreate and be with their dog or their kids or just enjoy the township. And being so close to the new Civic Center in the downtown area, we hope to have an awful lot of people walking to it and utilizing it as well. We have had some input from the residents in the area. we have to be cognizant on the impact that we might be having to the lake. And I think that it's a very good group, and I want to thank the supervisor for appointing everyone, because I believe it's going to be I think you're going to be proud of that park, and we're looking forward to bring it back to the township board for our discussion here at the board level. The ZBA has been really active. We've had 4, 5, and 6 requests per meeting. We had so many this month that we had 6 last Thursday, and we've got 3 Thursday night as well. So it was not the intent of the township to hold anybody up. So we've really had extra meetings this month to be able to help them out. We have noticed a problem that the ZBA is trying to deal with, and that's the residents are asking for more and more variance requests and stretching the standards out, typically asking for bigger homes, more expensive homes, and homes that are even closer to property lines than really what the fire department and the zoning ordinance would really anticipate. For public health safety reasons, the zoning ordinance tries to keep the homes a little further apart, and the homeowners want to make their homes as large as possible, pushing the home right near the property line. So we're not pleasing everyone, and that's not the position of the ZBA. We're trying to make it to where they can build on, improve their lots, but not necessarily get everything they want because it is in opposition to the goals of the public health, safety, and welfare of the township residents. I wanted to compliment the staff this year. Oh my gosh. Not only the hardship with the COVID-19 issues, but the amount of work the election, the clerk's office did with all the volunteers. But we just have an incredible professional staff in White Lake Township, and the department heads utilize the staff as efficiently as they can. And I just wanted to thank Supervisor Kowal and Anthony Noble and Mr. Roman for their guidance and helping the department heads and keeping the township running as smoothly as it does. So I wanted to thank you for that. Somebody else mentioned it, but I wanted to reach out to Clerk Lilly. This is the first time in many, many years that we've not had him sitting where Clerk Noble is. But he is going to never be forgotten. And I agree. I'd like to see his picture on the wall there in the township hall whenever we can. That being said, I want to wish all the residents and all of my colleagues here on this board a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Safe. Let's not push the envelope and stay away and wear our masks. And hopefully next year will be a much, much better and more active year. So thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Here, here. Yeah, that's a fact, Mr. Powell. Mr. Roman.
Thanks, Rick. I just want to say, first of all, it is truly an honor to be able to serve this this community of White Lake Township. I'm looking forward to 4 more years serving our community. Can't thank all of my board members enough for all the great thoughts and work that you all do. I'd also like to thank my entire staff for the dedication that they've shown in serving our community during these trying times. And then I'd like to wish a safe and happy holiday to everyone that is taking part tonight, our entire community, and all of our former board members. Carol Burkhart, Terry Lilly, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you. And that's all I have, Rick. Thanks.
Very good. Trustee Liz Smith. Liz?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So I would echo several of the comments from Trustee Powell and Treasurer Roman, and thanking our staff and our board. This has been an interesting year, and they certainly, we certainly couldn't do this without them. They're, the backbone of our community, behind the scenes, working so hard, and so they deserve all the thanks in the world. I also want to share along the lines with Trustee Powell that it's been a pleasure to join in with the Parks and Rec Committee with Trustee Voorhees as well. There's been great suggestions. There's been great progress. This is moving along in a positive, exciting direction, and we've had great suggestions, and it's a wonderful collaboration that's happening right now. And I do believe that we will bring forward a very exciting and workable plan to this township board, hopefully next month. I want to mention just quickly about the library. They are following appropriate restrictions set forth by the state and county, so they're limited in their services still. But you still may pick up curbside service, or they're doing their very best to make creative resources to the community. They do, I have mentioned that before, but they have Wi-Fi available in their parking lot. So if anybody is in need of that for school or work, you can just hang out right in their parking lot and hop onto their internet. I want to warmly welcome Clerk Noble and Deputy Clerk Bill Bullard to our team here in White Lake. I'm looking forward to working with both of you for the next 4 years. And of course, our other colleagues here. We're a great board, and I think you'll fit right in. So welcome, good job on your first meeting tonight. I want to make sure that our community knows that there's many resources available. There's a common meme or saying going around right now that, yes, we're facing the same storm, but we're not all in the same boat. Some are in canoes, yachts, and some are hanging on for dear life to a floating raft, so we're in the same storm, but we're not in the same boat. So please don't feel discouraged or embarrassed if you need help. Community has so many resources, and I've been incredibly proud of our residents that have stepped up in their kindness and reaching out and donating free items and food and really giving a helping hand to our neighbors. I'm so proud of our community. But if you still need help for Christmas, please reach out to us. You can reach out to any of us privately. We will keep that confidential. We will connect you to resources. We want to make sure that all residents and all children are able to have a Christmas. And I know there's still a lot of hardship going on in the community. I mentioned Parks and Rec briefly. Like I said, it's very exciting. We're still in the beginning stage process. I want to make our residents aware and just clarify that we are seeking grant money. So I've had that brought up to me in question of how will this be developed? How will this move forward? And that will be one of our initial steps. It'll be presented, the Parks and Rec will make the recommendation to our Board of Trustees, which we will then choose to adopt or tweak, and then move forward in a grant process due by April, and then go from there on what we are able to obtain and moving forward in developing the park. Just a couple last things. I want to congratulate our board. We have done so many positive things and moved this township forward for our residents. And I truly want to thank my colleagues. You all have our township residents in the best interest in heart. And this is a great board. And I want to thank you for the last year and term working together. And I'm very much looking forward to working together for the next 4 years. We all deeply care about our residents, and I want to wish everybody a very blessed and Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, whatever holiday you choose to celebrate. Please be healthy and safe. And I want to thank again my colleagues for their friendship, good working relationship, our staff, our department heads. You've all just done a fantastic job in a very unusual year. So thank you. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas, a happy 2021, and sure going to pray that it's better for all of us in 2021. So thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you very much. And Well, here you go. Mr. Noble, this is your first trustee comment. So the floor is yours.
First of all, I'd like to thank the residents for having the faith and giving me the honor to serve them and the privilege. Serving is a privilege, and I consider it a privilege to serve. I'd like to thank Mr. Clerk Lilly for his guidance and mentorship when I transitioned. He's a hard worker, and I can't thank him enough. I'd also like to thank the police, the fire, the staff within the township. Everybody's been nothing but great, and open arms let me come in and listen to concerns and moving things forward. It was brought to my attention, one of the police officers did a good thing the other day. He went to, I believe it was Officer Barber. A lady had her pipe busted. She didn't know how to shut off her water. She was in panic mode. She called the police. Our dispatcher linked her up with Officer Barber. He went in, figured out how to turn the water off, and caused a lot of damage could have occurred. I want to thank him personally for that. That's what our police and fire is about.
Oh, we lost you there, Anthony.
Lovely lady. We had a nice conversation. So it's been a great transition for me, and I appreciate it. And lastly, I'd like to thank Supervisor Kowal. Before I was in lockdown due to COVID, I was able to get by, and I saw that the Christmas tree was lit. I'd like to thank him and his wife. Maybe people in the township don't know, but he did, him and his wife, Nancy, reached into their own pocket and paid for the Christmas tree lighting. I really appreciate it. I know the township appreciates it, and I'm looking forward to a better 2021 for everybody to be safe and healthy. A lot of people sick right now. I just went through it, and it's no joke. And I'm looking forward to working with the board for the next 4 years. Happy holidays.
Okay, it was a momentary glitch there. I don't know if that was yours or ours. We're going to be seeing some necessary upgrades here at the township here with our servers and things of the sort. So I will be coming back to the board if we have to make any deep pocket costs. Our speed is slowing down, and our demand, of course, has gone way up. And those of you who have been provided computers to work from, those are your township issued computers for you to hang on to. So it's not just through the COVID, they're your means of communicating with the township and your constituents. So it'll make it easier for you, because as we go through some security measures here, it just makes more sense for you to have your own township device versus trying to come in through your own computer. We've seen some very bad things happen, and our technology company is running test programs. So if you see something from time to time, I know Trustee Liz, you saw something here the other day, and you caught it and you made notification right away, which was a real good move on your part. And I thank you for that. And that was an actual outside threat coming in, and it was identified. So, and it reared its ugly head once before. So it's kind of funny that it came around the same way. So we just can't be too careful. I hear everybody say different things, but I'll tell you what we are is we have great people committed to a great community, and all of us working together have been able to move forward. We may have our differences at times on how we look at things, or how this should go to the left, this should go to the right. I want to do this, I don't want to do that. But what we all have in common is our history. Our history is what binds us and will put us into what we can do tomorrow. This board has made history. This board has purchased land for the future of the township, purchased land for the future of a park adjacent to our township, will assure the preservation of a lakefront area, and create, hopefully with the grace of God, a little bit of some good investors, we'll have a thriving metro area that will be a walkable community that will enhance the lovely library that we have and all of the amenities that we'll be able to come up with. I spoke with Denise Stefanik the other day. I had a conversation with her, and I felt terrible for her because she's trying so hard to get those wheels turning and get everybody in there, and everybody was really enjoying the library. And now it's kind of like everything else, everybody's just kind of like putting on the brake. So hopefully that'll all change. The winds will be favorable. Hopefully these virus vaccinations that are going to be available that are coming out now will be extremely helpful. I also want to thank the board for their considerations a few months back for the reprogramming of the CDBG monies. If you remember, Trish made a request. We've already had multiple requests for furnaces and hot water tanks. So that was a good call on her part and a great call on the board's part to approve that. So that's moving forward. The other thing that we have coming, we talk about community, and I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with community sharing. That is what we'll call kind of like open door community sharing type of thing, but that's to our western end of our township. They currently have a facility up at the old Duck Lake Elementary, up on Duck Lake Road. I've been working with Rick Hamill and Paul Salah, Don Green, and others to try to find them a new home because the school is in a position where they don't want to invest more money in that building, and the building is quite aged. So they want to demolish the building. So Rick Hamill at Highland Township, kudos to you and to Highland Township. Looks like they have found a parcel of township property near their library that they will be able to donate to community sharing. And then we're going to have a good old fashioned community fundraising, barn building effort, whatever you want to call it, to try to fund this thing any way that we can and get them to be a permanent facility in Highland Township that'll be there to assist Highland residents and residents of the entire area. So that's what it's all about. WODA, as you all know, and I certainly thank all of you for your support when we put that program together, is now going to be going as of January 1 into its second year of operation. I will tell you that we are finishing the year in the black. I had my total of my rides here and I misplaced it and I put it on a little note and I can't find it, but I'll get that to you next month or send it to you. So that's really important that you know that that's working, and it's made a huge difference in individuals' ability to get to dialysis and get out and just be part of our society. And as crappy as things are right now, I can say that I think the COVID has made it WODA even more important because we have seniors and persons who do not have a means of transportation, nor anyone else. And if it wasn't for WODA, they wouldn't be getting their groceries, of which we have also joined up with Open Door and Community Sharing to help deliver food. So if you have a senior out there that's in need, get a hold of our senior center, call WODA. We'll get you connected to the right people, the right places, so nobody is in need this time of year. To all my board members, this is going into my 9th year as a full-blown elected official. And it's 13th year, I think, as being involved with the township at some level or not. And I don't know where the time went. But I'm not trying to butter up the crowd here, but I'll tell you, we got a good group here and we get things done. And I certainly appreciate that. And Mike and Liz, I certainly appreciate your efforts on the park, and I look forward to hearing and taking a peek at what you guys have been up to. And I've kind of tried to stay hands off of it because, you know, that's you're the committee, and I'm a firm believer in letting the committees do their job, and then they'll come forward to the board and make recommendations of sort. So with that, I say, I wish all of you a very, very Merry Christmas. Please be safe. Please social distance. It hits closer to home sometimes than you want it to. And God bless White Lake. Merry Christmas and a very happy New Year in 2021. And with that, I make a motion to adjourn. Looking for support.
Support.
I have support from Liz Smith. Roll call vote. Mr. Clerk?
Supervisor Colwell,
Yes.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Clerk Noble. Yes. Trustee Ruggles,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Trustee Powell.
I was sitting here wondering, what would happen if we all said no? Does that
Yeah.
mean that we get to stay on and just talk? But I'll vote yes as well.
I enjoy your company. I wouldn't mind at all.
Yeah,
I
there
can't
you
wait
go.
till we can be with each other again. Yes.
It will be a relief. So with
Yeah.
that, I say good night, White Lake.